let's go ahead and continue in. I kind of have an idea of what's going on. Alright, so where are we standing? Oh goodness, that be feeling very loose. Where are we? Ah, I see. Yeah, I see. Here. I see. So, last time on Dragon Ball Z, we discovered that this corner area here is bricked up. Let's take a look at the knife. We can use the knife. Apparently not. Use it from this angle. Excuse you. Oh! Crash the wallpaper, only to reveal a doorway that had been bricked up. I would disagree, but there's bricks. I was curious to learn what was on the other side of the door. I had to figure this out in some way of getting in. Oh, it's so gross, the feeling. Woo! Let's go upstairs. Oh, also, we need to go back. Whoa! Back into this room. Skibbity boop. Hold on, sorry, I'm pulling up my stream. I need to watch myself. See what's going on. Also, hi, thank you, welcome, how's it going? How has your 4th been? Obviously you are watching me at this current moment. If you are watching on the 4th, otherwise, hey, thanks for watching the VOD. Don't forget to comment down below and, you know, tell me your favorite part. What did you like? Yes, the rope would come in handy. By cutting it at that spot resulted in a very short piece. I think there's something else up here. Greasy. Alright, fine. Rope is on the... I can't look down any further. Thanks, Gamu. Over there. Can I grab the rope from here? It's an odd position to grab the rope from. But hey, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? I think there's something else in this room. Definitely extremely, based paintings of Donald Trump. Jumped on over here. We get closer. There's a key. There's a key. What do I have? Oh, the oily can. That's what I gotta use up there. I can use it on like the grease or something. Let's go. Also, don't forget. Yeah, I got it. Nobody cares. Viewing. Don't forget to check in. Certainly feels like it. So that's Pennzoil. It didn't need to be oiled. It didn't need to be oiled. It didn't have any oil in it. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm working on. It's clean enough. I guess for now, it'll be fine. Gonna go through this door. I think it'd have been faster to go out the other door and just go around. In retrospect. Also, we're still without power. In the creepy house of creepiness. Windows open, just as I left them. Okie dokies. Do I use the hammer here? I do. I use a hammer here. Because we need to climb down, essentially, into that room. So this is what we be doing. The rope was hanging from the hole in the wall. A couple of rusty lamps, a door in the tower. Where do we go from here? Can't go out this window at all. So, down, I guess? Well, let's go check out that bedroom and see if we maybe can't see the rope hanging out the window and use that to get over to the side or something. I don't know. I don't know. What if I cut it up? No? Apparently not that either. Here, there, out of here. Oh. Maybe... No, the phones were out. I can't call Jerry. Jerry, you wouldn't believe it. Found the most incredible thing, Jerry. Alright, so I'm going to assume then that I have to go up to the attic and do something from there with the rope, with the windows that are open. Whee! Creepy picture of kids. Up we go. Can't really see anything out here. We just yank it closed. Rope was hanging from the hole in the wall. Can't see anything out here, though. Allow me to progress. Old rusty lamps, a door in the top of the tower. But what? I don't see anything. Didn't tell me anything. Didn't tell me. Hidden room does exist, but I won't be able to get inside through the door. It's been completely bricked off. I have to find another way. Yeah, I have to find another way. Don't know what that could possibly end up being. Who knows, right? And yeah. Okay. What a game this is. Oh. I carefully pondered the situation and thought what I was about to do. Why was I obsessed with that room? Or whatever occurred inside this house, for that matter. Strange urge to go there, even though I was about to risk my life. Yes, progressing. I resolved to do it. Yeah, it's just a tiny nursery, and it's still super decorated. The empty cradle inside of such a dirty and neglected room made me feel very sad. Something here. Right, because I can zoom in. OBINAP. 6097. Another 9, 8. Hold on, I gotta wait for the flash again. Could be the T, could be the V. So many things it could possibly be. Jeez. Six, 0, 9. Why is the 9 different? Seriously, why is the 9 different? Nothing. Hello. 1961 0040 420. 9th day of August 1961. Blackwood. Rothbury, a boy. Date of birth, the 7th of August 1961. James and Catherine. Okay. I wondered if this family member was still around town, perhaps be able to shed some light on the past history of the house. I had to find some way of getting in touch with them. He was supposedly guarding the room, but it didn't make me feel any safer. Creepy wooden horse seemed to be smiling at me. It was as if someone took extreme measures to forget about the existence of this room for some reason. Mr. Blackwood? So, definitely things on the corner. 992. Of course I missed it. The 7. 6. I missed it yet again. Come on. Looks like another 9. 609798. Hard to say. Can always come back once we find it. Woo. In this room. Hello, Mr. President. How are you doing? Well, the 9th of August 1961. Let's go check and see if there's any newspapers pertaining to that date, since we saw some stuff before. Lecture newspaper mentions May 1963. I checked to see if there's anything of interest back in August 1961. Here we go. Sad news hit our beloved town today, following an announcement of the received the rejoicing amongst many that one of the most illustrious members of our community, Mr. James Blackwood, was having a child soon. We now have to relate the macabre turn of events. The son that was being lovingly awaited by the Blackwood family died shortly after delivery, due upon a strange ailment. Understandably, the information disclosed about this happening was succinct. It appears that Mrs. Catherine Blackwood was already suffering from pains in her stomach, probably an indication that there was something not healthy about her pregnancy. Dr. Christopher Milton, who attended the baby, was assured us that he made every possible effort to ensure a safe delivery. But with the bowed head, he said the boy was already doomed, ever since his conception. The cause of death has not been stated, but the few close to the Blackwood family have said that there are serious complications during delivery. Helping to relieve the somber news, Mrs. Blackwood has thankfully found out of the danger. Her husband did not wish to comment about the event. Huge disappointment quickly gave way to an empty void feeling. Something wasn't right here. I began wondering if James Blackwood was somehow involved in the death of his son. Good thoughts. Not good thoughts at all. Maybe check the gallery again. Since we know there's a door and we can see the door behind the Tusk cabinet, let's see if there's anything we can do about it. It wouldn't move. Can we wedge something under there? No, I could have hurt myself. Okay. Interesting. Hey, there we go. And look at that. That's all it needed. Hello, mate. Knock, knock. Hey. No pyromaniac. Didn't need to be oiled. Did not have any oil in it. Okay, let's go find out. As I said earlier, it is the 4th, so there may, in fact, a little bit of noise in the background. Let's go check that stuff upstairs again. Just a little bit of noise, because it happens to be a holiday where we set off fireworks. What a country to live in. That water be tasting good. Excuse me. Up. No, up. Ah. Good idea, but how is it going to get the oil from that can? How about like this? It didn't need to be oiled. Really? It didn't need to be oiled. Well, how could that possibly happen? Oh, good. Need a hole in the can, huh? That's kind of all we needed. Alright, well. Let's go back into the spooky dark room. Spooky dark room. Hello? To imagine that no one's even been here in a long time. Thing changes, of course. Light up my life. Hello there. Under the stairs. Now that there wasn't a flight, I extinguished my lamp to save the oil. So this would be the other mast that we're missing? And that must be it. The odd-looking African mast positioned in the middle of the storeroom. Its presence made me feel terribly uneasy. Nobody else is here. Lamp. Dear Christopher, please excuse the tone of this letter. I know I must sound like a raving madman, but I truly can't find the proper way to put together all the thoughts that had been taking my sleep away the past days. There is reason behind all the recent adversities. It's the mask, Christopher. It's the mask I told you about. I couldn't believe it myself. I hadn't studied its origins for my own, but it's really the source of all my suffering. The tribe I belonged to, I must confess, didn't take the mask by appropriate means. And I fear this might have unleashed some terrible wrath against my life and everything that surrounds me. It's been over a year ago since I witnessed the most outrageous acts of violence that not even my worst nightmares could have imagined. And the mask was the epicenter of it all. What was I thinking when I took it beyond me. It was probably a vicious streak of greed, but I can see clearly now what it represents: evil. And I am truly convinced this evil can somehow take shape and punish those who have disgraced it. I did, and now must face the consequences. It'll take some more time to investigate this. I might even go back to South Africa to seek help, although something tells me that not even returning the mask would do any good. The damage is already done, and I think it's getting worse as the days go by. Every time I walk past the gallery, I can hear some incessant odd chatter, as if something is being plotted against me, and these voices, Christopher, they seem to be angry. Please come help me. Come see me as soon as you can. James. So that was this. Oh no. My recent researches on the Dalmer have shed some light upon the terrible activities. I understand now that the lack of existing information about them was not only a cause of their small size and rarity, but also the reluctance and rather superstitious attitude towards their nature. Even some of the most important historians of South Africa will refuse to mention their name, usually referring to them as war tribe. After digging into some of the most obscure books I can find about the subject, I must admit that now that reading them made me very nervous and uneasy, bringing back the memory of those horrible acts I witnessed that day. I can't understand why any human being, uncivilized or not, would have behaved in such a manner. War among savage tribes is of course very common, and a recurring theme in history, but the Dalmer, they went even beyond war. Usually a tribe will engage in battle to conquer a new territory or perhaps defeat an enemy. They did it for the sole reason of destruction, and for extreme love of violence. The account of their actions is downright scary. They'd invade villages, slaughtering every inhabitant without regard for their sex or age. Men, women, children would inevitably perish by their fury and hate, which is, I think, the most unsettling element of the stories. They didn't use any weapons. They killed villagers with their bare hands and teeth as if they were drawing power from an unearthly force. I find it hard to believe this, and if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'd say that there was some kind of wild legend. Once they'd slaughtered every living thing in the village, they'd burn it to the ground. Every single construction or possession, the fallen villagers, proof that they definitely were not interested in conquering, or even taking advantage of the terrain. Their motives were moved solely and purely by incredible despisal of life and hatred towards anything. That wasn't from their village. That is another curious thing. They somehow managed to sustain a constant population level, as if controlled exactly by the amount of people needed for an attack, but at the same time weren't survival using their few existing resources. I fear this wasn't some kind of wondrous organization system, but rather an elimination process of a useless member or an unnecessary child. I dare not think about it, but I'm afraid that's a bit explained, but they didn't need to hunt for food. They feasted upon themselves. Now I know what the mass I took stands for, and I shiver at the thought of it. I must confess, I'm worried. I don't know why. I fear for my life. Very, very interesting. And there is nothing else in the room, really. I don't see anything to use here, except maybe, you know, that was pointless. Was it though? Was it though? Well, going to assume can't call Jerry, tell him about my discoveries, so there's not really anything left to do. Please don't freeze. There we go. So maybe go back to bed or do some working. I don't know. Let's try. I mean, we've been here all this time. The whole point is writing, and we've not done any writing at all. Ooh. Suddenly she stopped and stood there paralyzed, hesitant to give away any credit, to what her eyes were seeing. And completely... Oh, good, you wrote a whole lot more than that. Suddenly she stopped and stood there paralyzed, hesitant to give any credit to what her eyes were seeing, and completely unaware of the potentially dangerous situation. Surprisingly, there wasn't anything unusual or strange about the event. Little Kathy was hastily crossing the living room towards the huge oak door, her fancy black dress fluttering at every footstep. As the girl reached the doorknob, she turned and looked back at Marion and urged her with a whisper to hurry up. But Marion wasn't seeing Kathy. Her memories haunted her back to a displaced reality, giving room to nightmarish visions she had spent months trying to forget. Ever since her first visit to the old house, in her dream emerging in the passageway hidden in the room, she'd only saw the girl running towards her, her small face contorted in a horrible grimace. Marion quickly realized it was a twisted version of the Kathy she knew. She would, wait, what? She would knew later? Okay. As if her figure was distorted by a veil of smoke, her exact movements through the room, reaching for the knob, facing her back. Those were too many coincidences to ignore. It wasn't a nightmare that she experienced that day, nor a ghost, something she refused to believe in, but now willing to blindly embrace as the truth, given the shocking vividness of the vision. A ghost would come from the past that she'd seen come from the... Her thoughts were interrupted as the figure behind her cast a shadow across the doorstep. "You filthy liar, you've betrayed me," groaned a deep voice. I didn't do a deep voice because I didn't read that end part first. Sleeping. Oh yeah. I've done a lot of work. A bunch of time has passed. Maybe I can try Jerry? I don't know. Like, things progress by talking to Jerry. Excuse me, homie. Oh, yay! I can talk to my best buddy.
Yes? Jerry, it's me. You won't believe what I found here. It's about the happenings that led to the murder you told me about. There's an impressive backstory surrounding this place and many loose ends. It would seem nobody ever stumbled upon this.
Shouldn't you be working on your book?
Are you listening to me? James Blackwood
I did a
was
little.
into
I did
some
like a
very
page.
Weird stuff and possibly dangerous. Something tells me this case is much more complex than it was thought to be.
Why don't you inform the authorities? I'm sure they'll be dying to reopen a long-forgotten case about some crazy old psycho killing his wife.
No way. And miss all the fun? I'm doing this on my own. I wonder if those noises I heard have anything to do with this. Maybe James Blackwood was trying to hide something.
Like in that book, where an old man was guarding the entrance to hell. I bet this James Blackwood person had a doorway like that in his basement. Those dreadful noises must be the sounds of the damned coming for you.
Why, thanks, mate. That's been very helpful. Great to have friends like you.
Then stop talking about all this nonsense. Do you have any idea how crazy it sounds? You're a writer, not some fancy PI.
I'll get to the bottom of this.
I'll get my own TV show.
I'm certain there's much more to James Blackwood than a simple act of murder.
Than a simple act of murder.
Act of murder? Oh goody. Just somebody died. Nothing to worry about. This isn't like you, Michael. This whole thing
Somebody
is really
died.
affecting
Nothing
you.
to worry about.
Stop being a drama queen. I'm a grown-up and I'm pretty aware of what I'm doing.
Fine. Go chase around the ghosts of James Blackwood. I'll stay here in the real world.
Yes,
I'll let you know
maybe I
about
will.
my progress.
What's the... never mind. Whatever. Let's go try to bed. Dude, the way this thing just slides. There we go. Now let's go focus on things. Something didn't feel right. Is it the brick doors open? Let's go get a look at that mask again. Oh, mask. How can we see it though? It's the middle of the night. Oh, his nose. What? Oh. So we hear the scratching sound again. And to find the source. Remnants of a previous fire. You know, let's go check on the mask, make sure it's fine. Right? Weird bottom of the bookshelf got me there. Let's just go make sure it's still there. It'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. It's just a dream, just a weird dream. See, there it is. It's being weird. Good to see you, buddy. It's not that good. Alright, so last we had determined it was the basement, but there was no power, we couldn't go into the basement. But now we have the lamp with oil. So maybe we go try the creepiest butt basement. Right? Mm-hmm. Dark as butts. There's something, all right. Hello? Hello? That's weird. That was weirder. How do we back up? Did we turn around? Is that what happened? What's going on? Okay, we're out. We saw a weird door. Seemed like an odd place for it to be. Where would a door be like that? With my heart pounding, I greatly gathered my strength to leave the basement. I bet. Less of the oil lamp had been consumed. Well, with my pants thoroughly pooped, it's off to bed we go. Too confused to look straight and decided almost against my will to return to bed. That's strange, it seems that somebody has wet my pants. Could not be me. Monday, October 14th. My third and final day inside the Blackwood Manor began with an odd feeling of expectation. Still shaken about the occurrences of last night, I managed to pull myself together and focus on finding out what really happened inside this place. Okay. As with always, let's go call Jerry. The most informed person ever. Really cold inside the house now. Well, it had rained. There was wood in this, yeah. I have 3 more matches, apparently. It's now burning nicely in the fireplace. Now we talk to Jerry. Jerry.
Who is it?
It's me.
The ghost hunter. Any contact with the other world yet?
Actually,
Strangely, yes.
I'm not sure. Jerry, I'm definitely not alone in this house.
What are you talking about?
Last night I saw something down below. It was moving. I wasn't dreaming, and I'm not making this up.
Are you sure it wasn't a mutant rat?
Definitely
Mutant
no
rat?
rat.
I'm calling the police.
No, not just yet.
Michael, for Christ's sake, you could have a burglar inside the house.
This is no burglary.
What would they
Jerry.
steal?
It's much more
Honestly.
interesting than that, and I want to figure this out by myself.
Have you taken leave of your senses?
Just promise me you won't call anyone. I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
Just call me if you need any help. I'm driving there today.
Right. Bye.
Right. Bye. We have this key. So this generic key opened that one door, and this key. Where else could we use? Nothing else is locked inside the house. Perhaps something outside. There was over there, I believe. Because there's a padlock here. I can't imagine why that was in the painting room. I like cars and painting weird photos of Donald Trump. What else is in this room? That looks like these things could all be useful in case I am not alone in the house. Let's just be real. Hello. Crowbar, also useful. Of all the various items laying about the table, only the toolbox in the far left seem to have a few useful things. Hello. Yes. Givey. If it's not glued down, I'm taking. One classy and old automobile. Still, I didn't want to get very close. It gave me a strange feeling that something was about to jump from inside. An axe. No? No self-actualization? Ew. There was an old and dusty bicycle in the garage. It seemed to have some sort of device attached to it. Cool. Wonderful. Doesn't appear to be anything here, depending on what happens. Yeah, doesn't want to do anything with that. The bike has a generator. Cool. What a wonderful use of a key. What a wonderful use of a key. Wonderful use of a key. Hello. Weird. I seem to have got a door opener here. What are you talking about? That wasn't useful. What are you talking about? This wasn't useful. Couldn't possibly be. Fine, whatever, I'll leave. Jerks. Whee! Into the woods. Doors in the interior were locked. It's worked on other stuff, why not? You would not fit there. He did not fit there. Well. You're just going to be so rude about it. I mean, there was other stuff. Wish I could just walk behind the manor. I didn't have to go through the house to get to the back. Not like there'd be a way to the backyard or anything. I mean... What was that drum noise? What the heck was that noise? Let's get in here. We got like a lot of crap now, so I don't know, let's maybe look around the other buildings that we saw earlier. It took us 2 days to figure out everything on the inside. If this is the final day, I can't imagine we'd get through everything out here. Hello. Oh, goody goody. Huzzah. Won't stop me, I can't read. Cold shiver ran down my mind as I entered the decaying crypt. The foul smell of rotting flesh seemed to have persisted through the years. Mmm, tasty. I seriously considered what's about to do, but my curiosity got the better of me. The corpse advanced in stages of decomposition was inside the coffin. It was disgusting. Yeah, who'da thunk? Alright, over here. That is very unfriendly. Hello? Why is it so lit up down here? Is there anyone here who would like to speak with me? Even though it was in better shape than the rest, it was still too dark to make out what the plaque read. Most of the plaques were too badly eroded to make out what they said. There were several coffins in this room, probably belonging to the most important ancestors of the family. That is a child coffin. That is disturbing. Got the Jesus on it. Alfred B. Blackwood, 1802 to 1871. So 69 years old. Nice. Several coffins in the room, probably belonging to the morgue. This one's open. It's horrifying. It's a string of a dead cat in it. Strange. Yeah? Let's see. Can we get more light? Do the hello? Large windows above, faint light into the crypt. I wonder if any of these things could fix that. Probably not, based on this game. Just how it seems to go. Is there anything in here? No. Boggleson, Blackwood, Alfred, Young Warren. I mean, I can read those. I can certainly read those. Yeah, couldn't imagine what was the purpose of the gritting on the floor. Was obviously the way it needed fresh air. Catherine and James. Buddies. Hello? Steve Blackwood. 63. What's a year? Whoa. Hello there. I've got a rock. Fear me, glass. Missed and bounced off the ceiling, flying out of sight. Well. Well. Did you go down here? Hello. Rock. Rocky, my friend. I could throw literally anything in my inventory. They'd all be fine. Pfft, there's a crowbar. Like, seriously. Look at that. Come with me, friendo. You got an important job to do. Round 2, mother trucker. Haha, got it. Throwing shards in every direction. Thankfully, none of them hit me. The shards would be mostly going out, kind friend. Out. Okay. Can we read it now? No? Still too dark? Oh, me. Oh, well, the light's all over there. No wonder why. There's some mirrors in the house. Let's go try it. After leaving the crypt, I stopped to think for a few seconds. I found a body inside. There were 2 plaques. Something was evidently out of place here. Right, homie? So I think there's just bodies, man. Let the bodies rest in the... Alright, fine, I guess let's go look for them. Let's go look for something we can... This big bedroom over here had mirrors. Hello? Let me in. There's a mirror. There's a mirror too. Which one would be better? This one looks a heck of a lot less attached. Saying. Oh, hi. Gimme, gimme. It seems unnecessary. I probably could have just picked that up, to be honest. Really probably could have just picked that up. I mean, maybe heavy, right? Why is it so dark? It's always like extreme dark, and then you get down there and it's like, it's fine. What was I worried about? Just swallow your balls and go down there. There we go. Honey, I'm home. I brought a mirror this time. Okay, do I use the mirror on this? Apparently I do. That wasn't useful. It wasn't useful. Well, I can't use it there. It wasn't useful. Come on. Oh, hey, you're illuminated. Some have to attach it to the... I have, like, stuff. Right? Hey, yeah, look at that. Ta-da! Oh, it's like perfect. R. Wonderful. 61 to 61. The inscription was too eroded. I could make out the letter R on the far left. Eroded, you say? Is that what you got to say? Jerry, you won't believe it. Jerry, come on. Oh. Let's go talk to Jerry. I wonder if the mail was picked up in that maelstrom. It was a maelstrom, so obviously they picked up the mail. Come on. It's gotta be. Hello. Let's go. Talk to our friend. Keep missing those because it's so glidey. It's just wee. Boyo. Yeah, Boyardi. We got some stuff to chat.
Yes?
Hi, Jerry.
Michael, I was worried about you. Are you doing okay?
Yes,
What
I'm
about
fine.
me?
I think I know the
about
identity of
me?
my intruder.
Tell me, who is it?
James Blackwood.
The Blackwood person? Michael, are you serious? That the ghost of the murderer is roaming the house?
I'm not talking about his ghost, Jerry. I'm talking about him.
What the heck do you mean?
I mean James Blackwood himself, alive in this house.
What? How is that possible?
It makes
We're in his
sense.
60s, bud.
After murdering his wife and realizing what he has done, he begs for help to Christopher Milton, who fakes his death.
Milton, the previous owner? Michael, you're losing your mind. Even if he managed to hide himself, how did he survive all this time? Milton has been missing for years.
Good point, but I'm sure a desperate man like Blackwood would have found a way.
Yes,
I guess that
turning
tracks.
into a ghost. Wait a minute. Yeah, I have it right here. James Blackwood passed away on June 1963. Would you please stop this?
Jerry, just listen to me. I know I'm right. There's only Mrs. Blackwood's body in the crypt. His is missing.
Oh God, Michael, you've really gone out of your mind. Digging into coffins, what next? Desecrating the chapel?
What
Hey, if I got
it
time.
takes to solve this mystery? You can only find stories like this in books.
Precisely
No,
why I'm beginning
this
to
isn't
wonder
real
about
life.
your sanity.
You'll see.
In books. Ah, this is real life, my friend. Do we have other numbers? Oh, we have to dial numbers. We have, oh, we have the bank's number. I hate this. It's just like real life in all the ways I don't want it to be. Do we have anyone else's number?
Good day, the National Bank of Northumberland.
Not that I'm aware of.
Blake speaking.
Hello, Robert. I need some help. Do you have a customer there registered as Christopher Edward Milton? He's a doctor.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
It's all right. I work in the hospital with him. My name is Dr. Mike Rutherford.
Which hospital would that be, sir?
Rothbury Health and Care Medical Center.
Please hold on a few moments.
I just made some stuff up.
Sorry, sir. I see we had someone called that a few years ago, but everything in the files has been removed.
Worked.
It'd seem he's no longer a customer of this bank.
Worked.
Oh, I see. Good old Christopher still playing pranks on me. That old joker.
Sir, you said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
Do I need to do it again? Do I have to dial that atrocious number yet again? 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 4. Okay, so like they can make you do this kind of stuff, but you can obviously see for a reason my modern games don't do this.
Oh, you again. If you persist, I shall have to inform the authorities.
All right. Relax.
All right, relax. Oh, there was a phone number in the. We can just call numbers. I think there was one up here. Like in the newspapers, the 1963 one? During June 1963. Hello. Ooh. Following the shocking news of the public last week, we must now inform the sinister outcome of the story has been in the mind of every citizen in our town these past few days. Mr. James Blackwood has died at the age of 56 due to a heart attack, allegedly because of the pressure and stress caused by the astonishing accusation by Mrs. Eva Mariani, former maid of the family. This puts the sudden end to the case deferred by the authorities. Police Chief William Bailey. It saddens me Mr. Blackwood was never brought a proper trial. No matter what kind of excuses could possibly be made, the death of Mrs. Catherine Blackwood is in fact, I'm fully convinced he was guilty. As for Christopher Milton, it is said to be taking care of the funeral and nobody will attend. All belongs to the Blackwood family are now in his position. Odd. Silently, Rothbury returns to daily life. Blah, 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 blah. Bailey. 01665 65217. Let's call him. Yes, I need to speak with Amanda, please. Amanda Huggingus. Let's go. Man. Zero, 1, 6, 6, 5, 65217. This is torture. It definitely makes more sense to just like have it become a part of a selectable list or something. Or even if you had to annoyingly.
Who is this?
Hi, are you Mr. William Bailey?
That's me. And you are?
Yes, my
Just
name
some
is
dude.
Michael Arthade. I'm a journalist for a local newspaper.
This dude is just
in
all about the
Northbury.
lion.
I see.
Although if you think about it.
And what's this all about?
Well, you're the former police chief
What's this new spooky game? No, this game's old.
I served many
This
years
game's
ago.
super old.
and you were once in charge of a
This
famous
is a
yes,
semi-Lovecraftian
infamous
inspired point-and-click horror game. Certainly is.
Tell me this is about
From 2007. This
Well,
is Scratches.
yes,
This is the
I'm
director's cut
story of
version.
My newspaper. The most famous police cases of Northumberland.
Have you got any idea?
We are a writer who has secluded himself to work on his novel, and there just happens to be oddities going on.
Plenty of information about Blackwood there.
Please, Mr. Bailey, I beg you. It won't be the same if I can have the information from someone who was there, and no less than the renowned William Bailey.
Leo Rothberg.
All right, son, spare me the nonsense. What
Essentially.
do you want to know?
Well, in the first place, what did Ava Mariani see exactly?
She saw enough, son. James Blackwood
Yeah.
was dragging a shape into a hole in the garden. At first, Mrs. Mariani couldn't realize what it was, but eventually she made out the dead body of Catherine Blackwood with a serious wound.
And Blackwood was automatically deemed guilty?
He was found digging his wife's son.
Why did James Blackwood never appear before a jury?
When you're someone as renowned and famed as James Blackwood was, you can pretty much avoid the authorities. However, you can't avoid justice. And justice was brought upon James Blackwood.
Justice? How?
He
See.
died shortly after the accusation. You should know about that.
What happened to Dr. Christopher Milton?
How should I know? You bet your life that slimy worm was up to something. I couldn't prove it, though I spent years investigating him. A shame we couldn't implicate him as much as James Blackwood.
Are you saying he could have had something to do with the murder?
Blackwood and Milton were very intimate. Milton did the impossible to aid his friend, and even clear his name after he died. You do the math.
And was ever determined the cause of death of Catherine Blackwood?
Yes, partly. Mrs. Mariani managed to see her throat was slit
So,
open. Ripped, she
what
would
we're
say.
getting confirmed here is that the...
Horrible for the poor girl.
Not that it's...
Everything sounds so
It is kind of
vague.
semi-relevant due
As if
to some other
something
stuff.
were missing.
Are you questioning my
Italian
authority?
immigrant maid Eva Mariani saw this.
No,
There's
no,
a
no,
note
sir,
that we
not
sent
at all.
off to our
I'm just
secretary
trying
to get
figure this
translated
out.
that
Like,
Mariani
why
wrote
a
in
proper
Italian.
autopsy was never done.
An autopsy
Was
there.
witness to this potential murder,
This is
that
very
there is a
important to me, and I
baby
could
that
really use your
died
help.
mysteriously
I'm trying to fit
upon
all the
birth,
pieces of this mystery
thought to
together.
be
Mystery.
maybe murdered now too by Blackwood.
What mystery?
Blackwood found some creepy mask from some unspoken tribe in South Africa
I don't think I understand.
that he stole and brought to this house.
Cold-blooded bastard murdered his wife, God knows why.
Sorry about that.
But he and his fancy doctor did the impossible to hamper our investigation.
There's a whole mess of things that happened here.
A brilliant detective to realize Blackwood did it.
There's always a reason behind a murder. Nobody
Yeah.
has ever found out why Blackwood did what he did.
Psychopaths don't need any reasons. And James Blackwood turned
He
into
be one though.
precisely.
There's got to be something else. I can't believe Blackwood flipped just like that one sunny day. It doesn't make any sense.
People flip, son. You can be flipping right now without knowing it.
Well, then tell me how Blackwood reacted when you pulled his wife from beneath the ground.
I beg your pardon.
I mean Catherine Blackwood's body when you dug in the garden of the manor.
Like I said, they hampered the investigation. We never managed to set 1 foot inside the manor. What kind of bloody journalist are you, son?
But
I see.
Are you telling you never actually retrieved the body?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Now, if you don't mind,
But wait, this
Interesting.
doesn't make any sense.
stop wasting my time, damn
Interesting.
it. I was enjoying my retirement until you had the brilliant idea of calling me. I don't want to hear anything else about this case ever again.
Please, Mr. Bailey, don't...
Leave me alone.
Alright, so from this point, it's... Maybe we go check out the maid's room. Now learning that they never actually found her body, but there is a body in her coffin. So, that's weird. Her room is back there. We had seen something, so now there might be some new light. I wonder if we can open that now. We had seen before, there's a very obvious, like, something here. Can I knife it open? Can I screwdriver it open? Apparently not. Can I crowbar it open? Apparently not. Interesting. Maybe we check the mail? Because we had sent that mail off earlier, and even though the timeline doesn't make sense, why not? Right? You never know what's going to happen in these kind of games. It is very interesting, at least to have a point-and-click style adventure. There is kind of a horror story here, but there's not. There's like some uncomfortable theming, some spooky stuff going on, but it's not, I don't know, my perception of what I would call horror being a little distorted by chasey games or things of that matter, to where an uncomfortable situation like this I would consider more a thriller than anything else. Hello. Dear Mother, I spent the whole morning running a few errands for the Blackwood family, and on the way back, many thoughts crossed my mind. I take a look back at it, I said, and to return home. Things haven't gotten any better here. Everyone is behaving mysteriously, and they try to avoid me. I do understand that they must still be disturbed about the death of their son, but it has been almost 2 years since that already. I feel like an alien. I don't belong here anymore. And if I find it hard to sleep at night, there's too much activity in this house, too much moving around, and that is unnerving me. I feel something terrible is going on here. I want to go as far away as possible. I will miss Mrs. Blackwood dearly, as she has always been kind to me, but I'm afraid my health is at stake. And I've been seeing some strange things too. I can't explain it, but I think someone did something very wrong. Dr. Milton would often come to talk with the sir for many hours, and nobody would allow me upstairs, although I've been secretly taking pictures there. I hope this doesn't upset you, but don't worry. They're well hidden under a loose board beneath my bedside table. Please, Mother, forgive me. I know I should have listened to you. It's not like I'm stubborn. I just wanted to see if things would get any better for myself. They haven't, and that's why I'm asking for a place to stay until I sort out my situation. Call me as soon as you can. I usually have to stay in town until 5 o'clock, but lately I've been coming back at about an hour earlier. I just want to leave this place. I confess that I am scared. I'll be waiting, and please hurry. With love, Eva. So now we've been told about the loose floorboard that we could obviously see underneath the bedside table, and how did anybody else not notice it? How did anyone else not notice it? And in. So in the 2 years following the death of their son, they boarded up that wall. Aha. Oh, him digging a hole. Diggy, diggy, diggy. And this is from the tower, looking out. Okay. Okay. So we need a shovel. And I could suspect there's this shovel in the greenhouse. Let's go try it again. Girl, where else do you put shovels? Watch all the explosions. At least this kind of stuff has been more for tonight. Okay, that does work. Hope it reduced the rust. Yay! We're in. Interesting. Hello? Right away with that, huh? There's some kind of shiny object beneath the grating. Whatever it was, there was no way I could reach it. Alright, well, let's look around. Huge pot containing a bush had fallen on the drain. Much else over there? It's upstairs. The upper walkway was livelier than below due to several plants that had managed to subsist on it. This over here is a hose. Large hose lying on the walkway. Ooh, shovel. Shovel and the planter stuck in the soil. Well, come on, give the old college try, buddy. Several pots were scattered here and there, had a few pathetic plants in them. Hello? I want to take it. Just an old fumigator. Some water. On the top of the table was strangely attractive. Cool. Oh, you know what? That was the drawer. Hello, Shears. My sheer excitement. Letters I love reading. February 7th, as much as I regret it, I've decided to stop caring for the greenhouse. All my efforts to save the plants have been in vain. I just can't seem to figure out what is wrong with them. It has been a few weeks since they began falling apart to pieces, dying without any apparent cause. Some of them would just crumble at the slightest touch. It is not only frustrating, but very unsettling. Every time I enter the place, I feel a sense of dread and decay. What I most regret in the condition is the rare plant I brought from South Africa. Now it's all sad looking and almost dried up. I'll take upstairs and look after it, hoping it will get more sunlight. Assuming that everything has been happening has a natural explanation. Death is surrounding this place. I can't seem to do anything about it, in spite of my concerns. I can't help but thinking that all of this began when I brought that... I wonder... No, I have to put those thoughts aside. I should stop reading all those sinister books. They're getting under my skin. What if I shear this? It looks like holly. Anything else in the drawer? I mean, there was something else in the drawer, but I can't. Alright, whatever. Is there anything else we can do here? Hello? Hello? Oh, well. Aha! Do I do it from over here? Oh ho! Um. There we go. What? What? Not cool, game. Not cool in the slightest. Hello? I don't remember this. I don't remember this at all. Is this the way out? It's apparently not. I'm great, I'm lost. There's one path out, and I'm somehow lost. Is it this one? It is that one! Wow! Only me, right? Only me. Bing boom me. Hey, Jerry. Jerry, you won't believe it. Jerry? You never found the body, Jerry. Buddy, come on. Jerry. Jerry. I hesitated what I must do. Into the basement. Oh, it's not so bad down here now. Hello, matey. I have answers for that. What? Surprised I couldn't get the hell to move with my bare hands. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. What if I do this too? It didn't need to be ordered. It didn't need to be ordered. Scariest eye. Give it a good whacking. Oh yeah. At least the basement doesn't make that noise anymore. But a terrible noise. Turn on. Thought I was running, but there seemed to be a problem with the pipes. Is it? Why did I buy this house? Like, you think these would be things that you'd have known, right? Like, you just bought it like sight unseen, no inspection. No one came here. Absolutely no one. Looks like the water is working. Let's go again. Excuse me. I am back for the creeping once more. So I creep. Yeah. There we go. Ways you have to go around this thing are nuts. That's all I gotta say. Ika Ika. And get my stuff. Mine. Excellent, excellent, excellent. What if I do this? What? It's covering up the drane. Oh, did you hear that small tinging sound? That was it. So this one? No, apparently. Shiny object had been washed out of sight. Oh, you gotta zoom in on it. There we go. Clearing that corner of the drain. A huge spot had fallen, covering the corner of the drain. Oh, this was for. So I didn't have to keep cutting up the plant. Maybe I want to. The drain... You can hear the tingling, right? You can hear it. What's this? Hello. He's found us a key. Yeah. Sorry, I ate an abusive amount of food today. So, we were vaguely aware that none of the other keys went to this desk. Maybe this small key goes to it, because there's that there. Ooh. Dear Catherine, first of all, I beg you to take the utmost care in order to keep this letter away from James. I don't like to think of the mental breakdown he would suffer if he reads this. You know James much better than I do. You must share my conviction that he'd never harm anything. Even so, I'd ask that you be careful in whomever he's around, at least until we sort out this situation. He's been especially unstable lately, speaking about the determination to suppress those so-called curse. I truly fear for him and his sanity. I still wouldn't say he qualifies as dangerous, but just in case, be cautious. I've been playing the role of an ally who believes in James, and so far I think I've done a good job in convincing him. But I'm afraid it won't last for much longer. I can't do all the things he's asking me to. He's been delving into some very obscure arts, and what began as a hobby has now become a dangerous obsession. He wants me to perform an African ritual on that awful mask he brought. He's convinced he has released an ancient spirit which will harm everything he loves and cares for. It's also utterly insane that I'm ashamed to translate this into words. My biggest fear is that I will end losing my own mind along with his. I have to put an end to all this. And about the other issue, you should know I've gotten over it. Catherine, what we all did 2 years ago, the decision we made and knew would affect the course of our lives, has been haunting my sleep ever since then. I know you must be the one more affected by this, but you wouldn't understand. All that has been going through my head, the confusion, the contradictions now are more than ever. I'm not sure whether it was the right decision or not, but there's no turning back, and we must face the consequences. All I wanted to say about this is that I'm deeply sorry. I behaved erratically these past days and unnerved you. You have my word. I won't ever reveal anything. Whatever you do with this letter, make sure James doesn't feel anything suspicious. I'd rather have you destroy this, though. Extreme situations require extreme measures. Christopher. Look at this money. Could use that handout. Maybe this has to do with the numbers we saw before. I don't know. Because the only thing we saw anything remotely like that was the children's numbers on the blocks upstairs. The quickest way up there is through this door. This door. I am no good at video games. I'm going to take a quick second to get some water, though. Bear with me. I will be right back. It's an awful hot day for a family event, and man, let's feel good to drink all this water. Alright, so back up to go down into the boarded up nursery. Really wish I could play Blackstone Chronicles. Like, I really wish I could. Hello? What? What was that? Alright, so the things here. OBINPATVQTX. Assume children's name. Oh, there's an R. Because the thing had an R on it. Name began with an R, that'd be a 5. Oh, R-O-B-I-N. Robin. Christopher Robin. So the numbers are in the bottom left corner. It would be a 9. 5, 9, 0, 9, 7. Let's go try it. Do we have to lose? I can't get out. Trapped in this room. This is very Lovecrafty. Sounds very disturbed by what he just did. 59097. Like beating drum in the background. Boom. 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 It's like piano strike. The whole deal. Let me in. So there we go. $39529. 49529. Ah, that's how this works. Ooh. Hello? What? Oh, there we go. Oh. That did a thing. That also did a thing. Hello. Or random money. This dude just has money everywhere. Alright. Oh, look at that. That's a chapel key if I've ever seen one. Chapel... out the front door. Just how do we get over there? Navigate this house. Navigate this house, man. Okay. That was over here. Hey. He did it. Brightness of the area made me wonder if all the secrets have been kept safe and undisturbed or... Wow. Thoroughly disturbing. Jesus. We can go this way. Yes, Justin, I see you were playing Tabletop Simulator. Oh, oh. Elevation pleasing to the eye, but sadly it was no use to me. Was it, though? Golden and shiny. Looks sad and fragile. I'm unfamiliar with that painting. I am unfamiliar with that painting. I am semi-familiar with this sculpture. Hey, there's something down there. Large wooden statue of Christ after his holy place. All something. Chapel, golden, shiny, sad, and fragile. All something. Yeah, there's definitely a hidden passage down there. Hello? Seem to have belonged to a priest. Love me some drawers. Holy Bible. Oh, look at all that. Okay, that's weird. Definitely weird. Was there... do we maybe need this back at the altar or something? It really blocks the sight. Are you missing one in the feats? is that? There is a hole down there. Dude, you're not supposed to... Ugh. Okay. What did it do? That looks way off now. Some kind of small metal ring. Yes. Something was curiously different about the INRI sign now. Okay. Can I reach it with anything? Maybe the shovel? Apparently not. Does this reach? Hey! Oh. Was that just a temporary fix? Is that all that was? Okay. I mean, it did something. Let's try it again. Yeah, no, that's... Chinka. Okay. Can I maybe reach it from over somewhere else? Is it reachable from here? No. Is it reachable from over here, maybe? Oh. Hello? Oh. Oh! He fell forward. Hello, hello. Well, into the darkness, you know, there's just nothing like... Wait, are there so many secret places? I have 2 matches left. Hey, what's all this? The folklore of the Dalmar is just disturbing as their vicious attacks. If my researches have been correct, then I could have stumbled upon one of the most ancient tribes ever known to humanity, dating back to an era where so-called Bushmen inhabited South Africa. We're talking over 20,000 years ago. How could any civilization manage to survive all this time without ever hunting or expanding, just being there? I don't dare to imagine what the 200 centuries of inbreeding and cannibalism can do to people. I've seen them, and they can't be called humans. What is the most unsettling is their mystical background. Impossible to be considered a religion due to a complete lack of basic rules and maturity. The only simple premise is to keep an evil entity at bay which has been stalking them since the beginning of their time, Dark Ages. At this point in my research, I had to stop and consider the implications. The Dalmar actually thought of their later period of systematic slaughtering of mankind as good times or golden ages. I thank the Lord that this tribe never managed to grow, and I seriously think that the region, maybe even the entire continent, would have suffered terrible consequences. This history is so ancient that it makes me feel dizzy. The vengeful god, which is incidentally referred to as Dalum, would control the Dalmar via its many incarnations. Most of the time, he would be a tall feline-like figure, always dwelling in shadows and slaying any villager who would unwittingly come close. Some say its deadly claws would not only penetrate your body, but your soul. The purpose of the harassment is unclear, but it would look as though the Dalmar were simple toys to play with. It seems that the Dalmar managed to free themselves from its clutches with the help of an amulet or charm, which would effectively force the entity to retreat. The most curious thing is how this amulet was conceived. Two main elements were required to perform the exorcising of this evil, and they had to be strictly related to each other, one representing the victim, the other representing the victimizer. To achieve this, something related to each was used. While I'm not sure which is referred to as the victim, I can think it would be concluded that anything belonging to any villager would have served, given that they were all victims. As for something representing the victimizer, that may have been more complicated. What could possibly be related to a god? This god in question. Next, the elements had to be mixed with a rare medicinal plant native to the region, which apparently had the properties to blend both items together, as long as they were not too solid. Finally, a branch of a particular tree, whose name escapes me now, had to be used as the holder of the blended items. It is on this item that a mysterious blessing was performed. It should be noted that all the elements had to be organic. The Dahmer successfully released themselves from the control of the vicious god with an intense ritual that seems to have taken days to perform. In the end, the amulet was so powerful that the entity surrendered to their will and offered divine power in exchange for sacrifices, but the Dahmer wouldn't allow to be fooled. What? They decided on getting rid of the evil once and for all would be the wisest thing to do, so they managed to capture its spirit and store it someplace, where they could guard it for ages to come. My god, the evil spirit was cast into a mask, trapped inside the confines of its blessed wood for eternity. A mask which its description bears uncanny resemblance to... Oh my fooling. It is that mask. The Dahmer would keep the spirit at bay via regular rituals involving the bloody sacrifices and the aforementioned amulet. The last book I read today about the Dahmer, in reality 2 paragraphs, as amusing bonus reading in any book lent by the museum, has revealed to me that they have left me completely paralyzed with terror. I've always wondered since I began studying them what made the Dahmer savagely slaughter neighboring tribes without any apparent reason. Was it a violent, raw instinct? Did they feel threatened in any way? Was it to preserve an ungodly sense of enjoyment? No, it was fear. Fear that someone else would take the mask and release the god. They killed to protect themselves from falling again into the Dark Ages. If they went to such an extreme lengths to avoid this, what did they have to endure when the entity was free? The rituals haven't been performed on the mask for years now. What have I done? What have I done? Shocked to learn about this evil, terrible as it was, I still wondered if, to what extent James Blackwood would get rid of the curse. Is there anything else, or was it just that reading? Something else here. 63. Christopher, these may well be the very last notes in regard to... I'm afraid Catherine has already realized what I've been doing here all the time. In vain, I've tried to explain myself, and I know what might have been the outcome I had kept insisting. If you could only believe me, Christopher. Because I know you intend well, but I can feel the doubt in your heart. Put your rational thoughts aside for a moment and yield to the facts. If I can do it, someone who has constantly taught in the wonders of science ever since his childhood, then so can you. I'm hoping that you will contemplate the possibility of some truth in my assessments once you read about my latest findings. It is imperative that you carry on with this task. Catherine is watching my every step, and I'm afraid she'll take strong measures if I do anything out of the ordinary. Did you know she has been talking to other doctors besides you, and psychiatrists? My god, Christopher, I fear she's willing to shut me up. What an odd way to respond to that, Tia. In a madhouse. How is it possible that all of you won't believe me, as if what happened with my own son wasn't enough proof? In my adjacent notes, you will find an exhaustive essay of the origin of the curse and what should be done to eliminate it. I know the whole amulet deal must sound crazy to you, but you have to trust me. The tribe has been doing this for centuries. Are you going to forfeit all that knowledge and experience? Thank you for the bats. I really should. They faced a god, Christopher, and lived to tell it. Now it's our turn to live and tell the story. And Christopher, if we fail to remove the curse and anything happens to me, I want you to know I want you to do it, and I have my complete mental faculties whilst I'm asking you this. It has been becoming more and more dangerous lately. Do not hesitate. There is simply no other way, and you would be the only one left who can do it. Promise me. Promise me you will. I know. I'm asking you to become a cold-hearted murderer, but Christopher, our lives, and possibly many others are at stake. Isn't it enough to forget your vow? James. Thank you for that, really. It's definitely something. Most of the books scattered in the hidden room were about occultism and African culture. Even their titles were disturbing. Something else over here? Nope, just the candle that I'm probably going to leave active. Electricity isn't working, so that's why I can't use that. Okay. Just be sure there was absolutely nothing down there I needed, because there's this wood here, right? Hey, I can take it. Anything else? No, nothing else? Because I read both of those already. Okie dokie. Let's go call our best friend Jerry. How you been, Tia? How was your 4th? You and Lan doing well? Good to hear. Oh, there. Jerry, I won't believe it. They're murdering people. Someone's here doing dirty things, Jerry.
Yes?
Jerry, it's me.
Michael, I was about to call you.
Why?
I've been thinking about what you told me, and you could be onto something there. But I'm worried about your safety now. This could be dangerous.
What do you mean by dangerous?
What do you mean by dangerous?
Let's suppose
This looks
you're right,
spooky.
and James Blackwood
Kind
is
of.
indeed hiding somewhere inside the house. He's a madman, a murderer, and your life could be in danger.
Jerry, if James Blackwood is still alive, he'd be nothing more than a harmless, decrepit old man. I don't think I'd have any problem outdoing him.
And what if he is armed?
I'm willing to take that risk. He surely knows
Yeah.
I'm here by now. What if he's waiting for me to leave? So
You've
that he
slept
can
here
escape?
2 nights. How can he not know
Miss
you're
this
here?
opportunity
The opportunity of what, for Christ's sake?
of knowing. I'm already too much into this, Jerry. And if I don't know what happened inside this house, I won't be able to sleep again.
Yeah.
You're obsessed. You were supposed to finish your book, get some rest, and now look at this.
Supposed to finish a book. I've written exactly
Who
1
knows, maybe
page.
This whole episode inspires me to write that ending. I'm sorry. I can't leave this now, Jerry. It's too late.
It's too
I
late.
can't believe this. I don't understand you. Doesn't the possibility of spending another night in that house with a creepy
I know, right?
old man hiding in the basement scare you?
I know what you're trying to do. Goodbye, Jerry.
Michael? Michael! It's
Goodbye.
dangerous,
Hopefully
you
it's not
hear
that kind of goodbye.
me? Dangerous. You have to leave that place.
I'll keep you informed.
Yeah, informed. Oh my goodness. Scratching sounds. Blah, 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 blah. The story has fully revealed to me that the disturbing African mask's curse isn't necessarily important whether this curse is real or not, even though I'm actually willing to believe that due to my experiences inside the house. But the fact that the Blackwood believed it was very real. Drastic measures. Sacrifice. Snacrifice. This man's going to die. Is he though? Oh. Is he? If I wanted to leave, I could not do so on foot. Hello. Dear Michael Arthur, due to irregularities during its acquisition process carried over by Mr. Jeremy P. Carter, you are to immediately leave the property known as the Blackwood Manor. If you fail to comply, legal proceedings will be enforced against you. You have 2 days to effectively abandon the property after the issuing of this notice. I think today. We take no responsibility for the courier service. A police officer is due to arrive at the Blackwood Manor on Tuesday, tomorrow, October 15th. Should you be present, you will be immediately taken into custody without further notification. The National Trust. So that was the reason Jerry wanted me to leave the house so badly. I barely realized that he wouldn't come for me. It was up to me to find a way to leave the house. Hello? Well, alrighty. So the battery's dead and we gotta charge it, and we know... we know that this here is a generator. Because it powers the... And man, is that gonna take forever. Ever to charge that up. Click on the device on the top of the rear wheel. Having the cables connected first would probably be a good idea. What cables? I don't have any cables. Do I have to do this? That wasn't useful. That wasn't useful. That was pointless. Pointless, you say? Let's do a bicycle. Seem to have something attached to it. Yeah, this thing here. Click this. It doesn't appear to be attaching cables up. Oh, there we go. Those were hard to see. It's hard to see. Alright, well, we gotta get out of here. You're a responsible human being or something. I suddenly felt responsible for the disturbing forces that had been laying dormant inside the house. I had to do something. Way to go. Well, maybe it's that. This was where the stuff was all shown. Hey. You wanna see a body, kid? Supposed to use something here?
Oh my god, you know what? This is really scary.
Supposed to use something here? I don't see anything. Hello? There may be like another... Want to see a dead body? I'm not... Like, there's supposed to be something here. Digging in the wrong place. Yeah, still not really seeing anything. Do you see anything? Maybe something knocked the dirt away. I have a lot of things here. Nothing a crowbar can't fix. Ain't nothing a crowbar can't fix. Looks like it was somewhere around here. All of this looks the same. Ain't seeing. That was unintentional. Another place I can move over here? I originally did that over there, didn't see anything. Soil in the garden area is devoid of life. They just tell me a lot of the same stuff, bud. I mean, I'm certainly not seeing anything. Oh, usable points are showing up. A pair of pliers that I had taken. There's nothing here. I don't know what's going on. Hello? Are there multiple places? It's like this is where... Because Eva took the picture from the tower. And I was out here in the garden. What's it saying here? Suffering the same ailment that served Blackwood in Milton. Intern Milton. First the whispers, then the feeling of the presence stalking me in the house. Now the only possible explanation is that the curse is real and not have revived it with my arrival. I must do something about this. Fine, whatever. I'll look back at the photo. Aren't supposed to be here. Well, like... The photo... showed there. Come on. Let's go look at the photo. Which I, for some reason, didn't take. I take everything else. But, this one thing? Nope. Gotta leave that behind. right? Because there's the shadow of the tower. And there's where he's, like, burying her. And then all this stuff looks the same. Love that sound. It's so out of place. And unfortunately, I can't go out the back door and, like, over there. No, no, no. That'd be too convenient or something. No, let me go out there and over. Sha. Never. So anyways. Back to me digging. Diggy diggy hole. Like, right there. He was like right... there. Now there's music. Hey! Want to see a body, kid? Doing my best to contain my repulsion, I pulled out a tooth from the body.
My God, you know what? This is really scary.
Okay, so I have a tooth. I think what they want me to do here is to essentially prepare whatever it is that's going to fight this evil god, Dalmer. And there was a very important amulet in the gallery that we haven't done anything with. I bet you couldn't seen some of the earlier stuff, do you? That would have been good. I'll send you a clip of the... See, because this has been here for a long time. Can I use the pliers on it too? I got it! Because essentially we have to use a special tree. We have to use like a special plant, which I believe was the other thing that I took pieces of. We need an item of a victim and a victimizer. The victimizer being a representation of the god, so that'll be the... It's a feline god, so this lion tooth counts. And the victimized being... what's her name? Do I just put everything in here? That wasn't useful. That wasn't useful. Wasn't useful. I couldn't blend those items together in their current state. That wasn't useful. It was a nice, rustic, old-fashioned grinder. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Well. Let's try it. There. Yes, exactly the kind of thing that would perfectly work in a grinder. Well, let's go for it all, right? Oh, we have a tooth. Watching, but looking at a walkthrough because you're curious. Just play the game. It's really cheap because it's really old. Like, why not, right? And that goes with the... This was the African thing. We discovered a stove. do some cooking earlier. Maybe horror puzzle games are sort of my forte. It's a good one. They were supposed to do something else, but they ended up not doing so. Also, would you believe this game was made in Argentina, of all places? Where a British setting and... Is this the room with the stove? No, this was not the one with the workshop. Hey look, it's Donald Trump. He's so pretty. Yeah. British setting, even with like... It was not wrong, that looked perfectly like him. It was identical. Oh, no, this just has a toilet. Sorry, I didn't bring my spirit box. Are you pooping? Are you naked? Are you sexy? Alright, because we had seen this stove way earlier. What am I supposed to cook it on? Right? Oh, this looks like those. Hey, look at that. A little perfect. A little perfect. Does it just go on there and just gotta light it first. It's a good thing I have one match left. I think it's a Dio. My portrait would be the best, most gorgeous, most American thing. My competition would... Oh, I see what you're up to there. Yeah, so there is a demonic god thing stuck in this mask that was stolen from this South African tribe. Wasn't the proper way to use the amulet. Oh. I waved the amulet in front of the mask, and then... At first nothing seemed to happen, but then the atmosphere felt lighter, as if the house had been relieved of a monstrous burden. Oh, time to go. You got auto modded? Hold on, let me take care of that right quick. I'm not seeing it. I can't allow your auto modded comment. There was something wrong with that sound, you're saying? Alright, well I guess it's time to leave and just leave my garbage here, because it's pretty late in the day. Paralyzed by terror as I heard those horrible noises again. They just wouldn't stop. Oh, well... That's different. something interesting. They went down the fireplace, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't read the rest of that. I was too busy kind of looking around. Oh, this is the door that led to the... back of the thing. Being soaking wet, shaking in fury, I had to go on, as if driven by an unseen force. Remnants of food on the table, as if someone had been... something had been times long rusted everywhere. Disgusting teddy bear covered in mud and dirt lying on the ground. It appeared to be bites that ripped its neck. Ugh. Suddenly, the words of William Bailey concerning Catherine and Blackwood echoed through my mind. Ripped. Oh. Hello there, mate. Wait. Is this Robin Blackwood? Is that...
Unsure of what I had just seen, I raced my car and left Blackwood Manor as quickly as possible.
Robin Blackwood wasn't
I'm not
dead?
ashamed of what I did. That disfigured face is still stalking my nightmares, and I've never put foot inside a Victorian house ever since. But there's certainly one thing that I'm grateful for. It was thanks to my encounter below that house that I was able to finish my book and become a prolific writer.
Prolific writer. There's like a DLC sequel too. You left them there. They've been there this whole time. Fine. They're digging their way out. See, they'll be okay. They come out by the garden? Left them there. What would you have done? Honestly. That's interesting. Certainly a different take on things. It's horror in another sense, right? Killed the thing. It was something, that's for sure. So, I guess my assumption there would be that was Robin Blackwood, and it was something to do with the taming of the god in the mask, or decrepit old man, that was James Blackwood locked beneath the manor, crazy after all those years. Oh yeah, we can skip that. Looked like it was suffer. Was it suffering? Was it? Oh wow. He just keeps, it is more and more. That would imply that the door was open. I did not relock the door. Because that was the director's cut, and then there's the last visit.
In other words, you must head right away to the Blackwood estate and get me something.
But sir, that story is long forgotten now. No one cares anymore about...
They will as soon as the estate is demolished. 2 weeks from now, that place is going to be smashed to bits. It's such an event will revive all the rumors and madness.
Michael Arthayet supposedly solved the Blackwood enigma, but for some reason never shared his solution. Perhaps I could persuade him.
You can forget about that. Mr. Arhate rarely speaks to the press, and less so about this story. Not even the most experienced and reputed reporters in the field have convinced him to talk.
I'm glad to hear you think so highly of me, sir. Perhaps
We-
he decided that preserving the mystery would be in the best interests of everyone.
No, I think he's a very unstable fella, and his solution was probably as far-fetched as what town people were rumoring back in the 60s. You know, a family curse or aliens from outer
Aliens.
space possessing Blackwood.
Yes, thrilling. What about Jerry Carter?
Jerry Carter was convicted to 8 years in prison with a serious charge of fraud, but only spent 4 inside and is now doing community services under probation of liberty. He's never crossed a single word with Michael since his stay at Blackwood Manor and probably doesn't know a thing about the mystery.
I can't say
Why was
I'm
Jerry
excited
arrested
about
on
this,
fraud? What did Jerry
but I
do?
don't have much of a choice, I guess.
No, what you have is a potentially great article on your hands. Do your best, as this is probably our last chance to shed some light about what happened inside that house.
Fine. I'll drive there tomorrow.
Hmm. Well, we're back. Jerry committed tax fraud. Jerry committed some kind of
my
fraud.
car inside the estate, and I'm about to start investigating.
Parked in the exact same place Jerry did. Michael did, I see.
There's a huge amount of junk inside this garage. I won't even attempt going in.
Why do I still have all of my inventory from before? Excuse me? Did we somehow get all this crap back from Michael? Hello?
It looks like someone left in a rush and dropped all their, souvenirs.
Souvenirs.
Whoever left all this stuff in here must have been leaving the house in quite a hurry.
Yo, Buffalo, what up? Why is the car so dirty? I think it's just their way of showing, like, reflections or something.
This can might prove useful.
I can think of a use or two.
The whole place is exhibiting signs of vandalism and trashing.
Things have happened here. Oh. Things have certainly happened here since I left.
The graffiti is barely readable. Not that I would want to read it. I doubt it would provide many clues.
Oh good, we can just straight up go down into the murder lair.
Just useless junk.
Just useless junk.
Just useless junk.
Oh god, the door's been kicked off its hinges.
Ah! Oh, there's an intense smell of urine in this room. It seems like cats have claimed it as their home.
It's still
what a
here.
charming little teddy bear. Its head is almost ripped off.
Bites. And Catherine's neck being ripped.
There's some object inside that hole. Ah, there's also a nasty cat in there as well. Ah! It almost ripped my hand off.
Oh man.
I won't put my hand in there to have it shredded by a deranged cat. I won't put my hand in there to have it shredded by a deranged cat.
Oh, okay. Is it perhaps that hole we saw earlier? PP room, let's go. Yeah, that animation was amazing. Let's go water the cat. What could possibly go wrong? Bubsy, words to live by. That looks like pea water anyway. They should just let me take the stupid rock thing. Come on. Man. That cat animation was wonderful.
And the prize is a doorknob.
What? All in all, we see who got the best here. Why do you keep getting auto-modded? My auto-mod is pretty harsh. But honestly, it's to prevent
In
there
its
being
current
actual
state,
problems.
this is an extremely uninviting dining room.
What are you talking about? I ate here. This is the kind of place you eat McDonald's in. This is post-Grimace Shake.
The doorknobs here were likely of a high value. No wonder. This place must have been glittering in its heyday.
It just completely restored this bar across the door.
Ugh. I wonder if this kitchen was ever tidy.
Oh, basement door's been broken off. Nice. Can I get to the maze room?
This door is severely damaged. There doesn't seem to be anything of interest. It's impossible to go this way. The door is rusted shut.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm able to get in here. I mean, there's the basement, so let's go to the basement.
The atmosphere is almost unbearable down here in the basement. The walls are dripping with moisture.
Okay. Well,
It's
someone's
a
dripping with
huge
moisture.
furnace, which still doesn't seem quite large enough to heat the whole house.
Would be why they have, you know, certain other things. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot left in this place, to be honest. Right before the trend. Would you have followed the trend,
I
Thea?
think I'll take my chances with the other stairway. This
Oh,
one looks
I
quite
want-
dangerous.
I want to go up those stairs. My direct neighbors seem to be exploding. I noticed on your last stream, everybody had Grimace Shakes. You guys were playing DBD, so it made enough sense, I guess. Let's check Michael's room. Because Michael left, he just left all his
This
stuff
is the room where
behind.
Michael Arfayet slept those 3 fateful days. Not much to see here, though. That's odd.
His stuff's still here.
Arfayet left most of his stuff in here. In turn, it seems, later visitors have barely left anything.
Cool. Let's check the gallery, maybe?
Aha, the plot thickens. This is the gallery where James Blackwood carried on his eccentric hobby.
I straight
Oh,
up
what's left of it?
bashed everything here.
How interesting. This seemed to be a secret storeroom. Whatever was here must have been of high importance. Unless they
man.
want to keep it secured for...
I think I sent it to you guys, didn't I?
just
Or it was in
useless
the...
junk.
It was in that one chat. And if you haven't checked that chat in a while, Tia, you should. Yeah, I have that PNG as well.
This room was
Like I said, I was going to
probably a
add it to
cozy
the
place
hydrate since
before.
it redeems a random...
Not anymore.
It pulls up a random cup.
A bottle of thalidomide. I remember reading something about that drug.
Okay, there's just... stuff here. Thalidomide, that's one. Thalidomide can cause birth complications. Hence, the issues with Robin. Found it on Twitter. We probably found it in the same place. Oh, I can
window
clean
seems
that.
to have been covered with mud. The rag alone isn't enough to clean the window. That doesn't work.
Okay, I gotta refill that with water apparently, which means going outside to the dirt. Yeah, we probably found that in the same place. Why do it's seriously like, why do I have all this other stuff in my inventory? Can't imagine why I would need all of that. Can't get to most of it. Why are you so funny in other people's streams? You're funny in your own streams when you're streaming at those times as well. It just so happened to be that I was the one streaming that time, at the very least. Also, it's just the posting. There's so much that goes into, like, maintaining a channel.
Boy, this mud is certainly hard. I need something more powerful to get rid of it.
Can I pick up cleaning fluid somewhere?
I can't see a thing in this bathroom, and I forgot to bring my flashlight.
Yeah, that thing got a lot of views, like, really quickly. Totally good on the stairs. Can I go up these stairs?
I won't be able to go upstairs. It looks too dark. And,
Yeah,
dangerous.
let's check the kitchen and the basement, I guess. That's a lot. Like, I think there's a couple things I could probably do in this one, but I feel like everything I can do would be very spoilerific.
There must be a reason why the burglars didn't pick these cans. Oh, judging by their smell, I think I know why.
Down here? Like the only other place I'm able to go. The music changes.
It's a huge furnace, which still doesn't seem quite large enough to heat the whole house.
Well, let's go back up there. That long walk. Remnants of the Grimace Shake. It was pretty tasty. I liked it. Somebody said that it kind of sucks when you get like halfway through it and it's sort of nasty, but I guess that depends on the size you get. I got through a large just fine, but maybe it's best to get a small if that's how you feel about shakes. I did learn that there's an A&W near me recently, so that's gonna be a thing. Ah! Seeing here now. It's the
I
thing.
can't tell exactly why, but I don't like this mask one bit.
Yeah, I mean, A&W is technically a part of Yum Brands. It's... I don't know why at this point they don't They don't just combine them all instead of doing some of the other restaurants they do. Oh, that's weird. It's paused. Hmm. Everything's all spooky now. Yeah, I mean, they could just put everything in the one. Like, it's not really a huge problem. Huh.
Oh my god, you know what? This is really scary.
Hello? Dude, it's Jason Voorhees.
No.
Run! Maybe a little faster than that. The classic, like, old 90s stuff. Woo! We going over the rail. Sound effects. Oh. Yo! My goodness, it's Andy.
What are you doing here? Can't you see this place is dangerous? Robin, please forgive me. I had to see you before I returned to my dying bed.
I knew it. Okay, yeah, that is, that thing has been pooped all over, and I don't think that was me.
As I hurriedly left Blackwood Manor, I tried putting together what I just experienced, to no avail. I was in shock and couldn't think clearly, and it took many days until I was ready to pass judgment on what I'd seen. The Blackwood estate has now been demolished, and I have arrived at a conclusion. It is clear that the Blackwood family, with the help of this Dr. Milton, kept their son hidden from the public as he was suffering from severe malformations. It is unclear whether he was truly dangerous, or the Blackwoods were simply psychotic. Quite possibly
my neighbors,
one
they're
thing led
idiots.
to another, and this situation ended with the death of Catherine Blackwood. We can finally give some closure to this sad episode
Absolute
in the peaceful
idiots.
town of Rothbury. And yet, there's something I can't quite explain. A missing link, something that just doesn't fit. We may never know what the real heart of the mystery is.
Yeah, so...
But for the time being, this will have to do.
So then, yeah, Robin killed his mom, and Eva Mariani knew absolutely nothing about it. So then when she saw him burying her in the backyard, he thought he had killed her, but it was Robin that had done it. And they kind of just like covered everything up the best they could at that point. Robin was still in that house all those years later, because I forget when you are there. But that happened in 63. It doesn't really say. Mail travel's fast in that game, because... Why? But the mask itself was not destroyed in all of that. So, that has definitely been scratches. I'm going to reload, and I'm going to call this an evening. It's been wonderful having you all here. I'm going to figure out what I will be doing tomorrow. We shall certainly see. Kit is playing Phasmophobia. I think we'll hand it off to Kit. Have a wonderful time with her and the Phasmophobia. She's a very skilled player at it. And in the meantime, the world is very lucky to have you, and so am I. And may the power protect you. Always.